Greg, we're talking about what investors should look for before they invest in a property, correct?
Correct. And I wanted to ask you, how many properties are for sale at the moment? Do you know?
Yeah, well, single-family properties, we've got about 2,350 in the state. As far as roughly about 5,000.
That's it. And you know how many I would recommend an investor to buy?
How many?
None.
Why? Why?
Because they don't make sense. And when I say don't make sense, there's a lot of factors that I'm considering.
Mm-hmm.
I'm considering, number one, the price.
Yep.
And what a rule of thumb I would say in Rhode Island you want to spend is $40,000 to $50,000 per unit. So if you do some quick math and you're looking at a 3-family and it's for sale for $250,000, $225,000, $200,000, in my book, I'm saying walk away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The next thing I want to look at is obviously the area, the amenities, parking. Is there laundry? Is there a yard? What's it close to? You want to put all of these things together. And at the moment, there's nothing.
There's not a lot out there. Serious lack of inventory.
Well, I would say there's inventory, but the pricing might be
Right.
incorrect on it. That's on some of the investment properties, when you start factoring in the tax rate and the insurance cost and then the rents, and what people forget is just because you have rent, it's not gravy after the base expenses. You have to reserve for maintenance and upkeep and lost rent.
But the best thing that ever happened to Rhode Island was the Industrial Revolution. And I'm sure environmentalists would disagree with me, but from an investor's standpoint, that was the best thing that happened. And the reason that I say that is because you look throughout the state and there's hundreds and hundreds of mills. These mills have either been reclaimed and reused or they're sitting vacant. In any event, I don't care what happened to the mills. I care about the surrounding area. And if you look at all of these surrounding areas, there's so many properties in such a dense area, and had it been today, building codes wouldn't allow for half of these to be built.
No.
Because it's just not, it doesn't make sense, it's not safe, there's not enough space, what have you. But for these properties that are there, specifically in Pawtucket, Providence, Woonsocket, Central Falls, parts of East Providence, it's a slam dunk for an investor. And if you head down to Florida, if you head down to Texas, they didn't have this same type of historical upbringing in their area, so you can't find a 4-family or you can't find a 3-decker because a hurricane knocked it down.
Right.
You know, there's so many things that
The Mississippi River floods.
whatever it may be. New England is so lucky to have the past that it had, and it's really a honey hole for people that want to make money.
I like your outlook. I really do, because so many people look at it the complete opposite way, and you're seeing opportunity,
Right.
As I think any savvy investor would.
So when you say with the mill, are you saying for investors to consider buying them and developing them into repurposing them?
You can, but the normal investor just can't afford it. I'm saying look at the area that the mill is in, because all of the workers were set up in these tenement houses because they walked to the mill. They didn't have cars. They walked there. I mean, you list properties for sale, and your clients want top dollar. They're not thinking, oh, what's an investor going to pay for this? They're thinking about what is the most I could squeeze out of this house.
Absolutely, definitely. Long-term plan, depreciation, appreciation. There's a lot that goes into it.
And if you sat down any other buying agent in the state, they're going to say, oh, I disagree with you, Mr. Rice. There's hundreds of properties somebody could buy. And the reason is they're not looking for a long-term relationship. They're looking for their commission, let's be honest. They want to get paid. So they're going to sell you something that may be borderline or may not be borderline. They just want to make it happen. With us, with Nexus, we have a patented trademark service. It's called Invest, N-V-E-S-T. It's trademarked. We own the rights to this service. And what it is working with folks to find properties in their wheelhouse, to manage it, and to repeat. It's a marriage. I'm not going to be talking about when it's time to break up with the property manager because there's no reason to. You don't need to. You need to marry us again and again and again.
Mm-hmm. That's very true. And actually, you help folks go out and purchase properties as well, correct?
Absolutely.
You see this? This is so, guys, I mean, check this out. I help people buy. I have somebody sitting next to me that helps people buy. In essence, somebody may look at him as direct competition. I do not. If I get somebody that's searching for a specific, like an investor that wants to buy multiple houses or whatever, I'm going to refer them out to Greg, okay? And even though I don't care about the commission as much as I care about the partnerships that we're going to make and the value that we can add, because that's more important than $3,000.
Yeah, people want the flash in the pan. I want the marriage. I want the long term. I want to manage the units. I want to maintain them. I want to lease them. And there's virtually nobody out there that has the long term approach like you and I do, Emilio.
Nope. So that's awesome. And is there any other any other thoughts, any other quick tips you think you could give somebody that's like, I've owned homes before, I haven't had success with multifamily homes. Like, what do you think they should do different this time?
They should look for a 4 to 6 family. 3 units or less, there's very little meat on the bone. You're not going to make any profit.
Yep.
As soon as you have a vacancy, you're in the red. And these 4 to 6 families, you're often going to get a first-time investor, somebody that tried to buy a rental property, didn't manage it correctly and failed, and now they just want to get rid of the headache.
Yep.
Once you get over 7, 10 units, you're dealing with folks that this is what they do. So you're not going to get a fire sale. You're not going to get a good deal. You're going to be looking at a property that's well maintained, sometimes professionally maintained.
Oh, yeah. And, some of our listeners may be like, oh, my God, I had a 2-unit and it didn't work. And maybe it didn't work not because of, the cash flow or anything. Maybe it didn't work because of the management part of it. Because, maybe you were traveling. Maybe you live in Florida half of the year. Maybe you, maybe you just don't want to deal with it. Maybe you work 100 hours a week like I do, right? And I don't have the time to do this, so I hire somebody to take care of it for me. And that's pretty much what I was getting at. So I think what you should do is really evaluate what happened. And then I think you should talk with a professional and say, like, what can you do for me? And put the check marks in and see, the pros and cons.
Well, I think a lot of times when I talk to my clients, they have a aversion to owning investment property as a way to generate income because, oh, no, I don't want the responsibility of that. Whereas all they really need to be responsible for is putting up the capital and delegating that responsibility of taking the phone calls in the middle of the night and collecting the rents, making sure that that's in. It's a very intelligent strategy if you're in a position to do so. Or, and I say this, I see it too often, people wait until they're 55 to start saving. They do not have the time horizon to create what they need. The only way to fix that is with real estate. It's the only way to fix it.
Amen.
Investment or reverse, that's it. That's the only way to do it.